What does the parable of the wedding garment mean? To answer this question, we have to look at Matthew chapter 22 verses 1 to 14. In the verses, a king hosted a marriage for his son, but when he invited people to the party, no one responded to his RSVPs. Some even killed his messengers for asking, and he had to send in soldiers to execute them. Still, the king was determined to make his son's wedding special, so he decided to send people to the streets to find guests. This strategy finally filled the banquet hall, but there was still one problem. One of the people there wasn't wearing the proper attire. When the king asked him why he didn't wear what was asked of him, the guest didn't respond, so the king ordered servants to throw him out of the building. Now, besides the fact that everyone in the story is too quick to resort to violence to solve their problems, what else can we learn? Why exactly did Jesus tell this parable? Well, he told it because every element of the story means something very important for understanding God's kingdom. For example, the king in the parable is God Almighty himself. After all, the Bible has described Jehovah as a king. As the psalmist said, "The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his land." Psalms chapter 10 verse 16. Who is this king of glory? The Lord strong and mighty. The Lord mighty in battle. Psalms chapter 24 verse 8. God is the ruler of the universe according to Colossians chapter 1 verse 16. So naturally, he's also a king. The king's son in the parable is Christ, because Jesus is the Son of God according to Mark chapter 1 verse 1, while the unmentioned bride is the saints, since they are said to be married to Christ. As it was said in Revelation, "Let us be glad and rejoice, and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints." Revelation chapter 19 verses 7 to 8. They are described as Christ's bride because they support him in establishing God's kingdom, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 2. The servants that would invite others to the banquet are the prophets, described as God's servants in 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 13, Jeremiah chapter 7 verse 25, and Amos chapter 3 verse 7. They tried to invite the Jews to serve their father, but they rejected the invitation by repeatedly sinning. Sometimes the prophets would even be killed, according to Matthew chapter 23 verse 35. Therefore, God decided to invite the Gentiles, the people on the street, and thankfully they did accept, as shown in places like Acts chapter 13 verses 46 to 48. Before this, though, he would need to kill the murderers of his prophets. As it was said in Matthew, "And I say unto you, that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham, and Isaac, and Jacob, in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Matthew chapter 8 verses 11 to 12. Finally, we can discuss what the wedding garment means. That is the most significant element of the parable, because it is the righteousness of God. Everyone that receives the call of God must develop righteousness to be saved, and to do this, they must put the knowledge of God into practice. As it was said in Proverbs, "By mercy and truth iniquity is purged, and by the fear of the Lord men depart from evil." Proverbs chapter 16 verse 6. Many people come to the faith and accept these conditions, putting on their wedding garment. However, some people refuse to wear it. They don't want to walk on the way of holiness as described in Isaiah chapter 35 verse 8, because it is a tough path to navigate, according to Matthew chapter 7 verses 13 to 14. However, they also want to be associated with God and his ways to boost their own status, so they're no better than hypocrites, as shown in Revelation chapter 3 verses 15 to 16. That means God has no choice but to punish them. As it was said in Matthew, "The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Matthew chapter 13, verses 41 to 42. God will then be able to begin the wedding, where everyone will be served with the water of life, according to Revelation chapter 22, verse 17. Therefore, my advice is that we should think carefully about the clothes we choose to wear. We can't just put on whatever we want as Christians. Like in an office, there is a dress code in our religion, and there are certain things that we must wear for success. As it was said in Isaiah, I will greatly rejoice in the Lord. My soul shall be joyful in my God, for he hath clothed me with the garments of salvation. He hath covered me with the robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decketh himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorneth herself with her jewels. Isaiah chapter 61, verse 10. And that is where I'm going to stop with this Bible Q&A. What does the parable of the wedding garment mean? Well, Jesus used this parable to describe God's government, those who support it, and those who are against it. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe.